Welcome to Dev Radio. I am here with Martina and Baxter from the NASA Space Apps Challenge Mountain View team. And people are going to be building some really awesome stuff all over the world coming this weekend, but especially in Mountain View. Martina, why don't you go ahead and start off and introduce yourself, and then we'll hear from Baxter, and then we'll go.
Hi, everyone. I am so glad we're doing this. We're here together with Matt and Baxter. So, my name is Martina, and I am the local lead of the NASA Space Apps Challenge in Mountain View. We annually host it at NASA Ames Research Center in the Bay Area in California. I wear a couple of hats aside of that. So, I am president and founder of a non for profit that's helping us organize this. It's called International Space Alliance. We actually have two chapters, one in Europe and one here in the Bay Area. So that means we're spreading and we're making really cool initiatives here in the Bay. But as a profession, I'm something of a consultant at Blue Abyss for human spaceflight. So that means that I do a lot of research in a lab, on the field, on analog astronomy missions, and apply for a lot of grants and R&D through my role. So I wear a lot of hats, and then that's just the short summary of who I am.
Baxter, tell us about yourself.
Yes. I am grateful to be with you, Matt, and also excited to be working with Martina this weekend with the NASA Space Apps Challenge here in Mountain View. And I'm really excited that Mountain View is actually one of the largest attended challenge locations this year. So my background is in storytelling and video production. So I'll be excited to kind of capture some developer stories as they're evolving throughout the weekend and seeing what teams decide to use their brain power to solve there's about 20 challenges this year. So I'm excited for us later to discuss one possibility, but I think what I'm most excited about is being able to see how all this information can be used to solve some problems and can help people here on Earth that we're gathering from all the satellites in space. But really excited to also kind of dive into Azure and other tools that can be used to help accomplish some of these challenges.
Yeah, they always surprise you at hackathons. You never know what people are going to build. Martina, you're going to talk about some of the specific challenges, or what?
We do have a lot of cool things. Maybe Baxter, you can share the screen.
Sure. Yeah, I'll dive in. I guess, Martina, I wanted to see if we could talk in first about your experience, because I know you actually led a winning team in your previous experience. So I think for the developers or first time hackathon attendees watching, we're just curious to kind of get your perspective on how your team came together and like what led to your success.
Absolutely. So I joined this hackathon in 2014 at the NASA Space Apps Challenge in Skopje, which is in a country called Macedonia, which is in between Greece and Italy and in the Balkan region, next to Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia. We're in that region. So I participated as a freshman, which means I had a lot of help from my teammates. I was not doing this alone. And it was my first pathway to space. It was my first thing I ever do with space exploration. Anything adjacent to space exploration was the first thing I've ever done. And it was a great learning curve for me, just because in the Balkans, we don't really have space agencies. We don't have astronauts, rockets, ports, you name it. We just don't have a space industry that's developed, or entities that are developing new things. So this was the only pathway for me to learn and grow, and it was a great window for me to problem solve on the spot and collaborate in teams, which is so important. Everybody in the space sector that works in the space sector, they know that it's all about teamwork, and then you all have to kind of like believe in this cohesive mission and individually contribute, but also as a collective. So I've applied to one of the novel back in the day 3D printing challenges, where we tried to solve the issues for curiosity. So we started off as a team Lambda, and we tried to make a good design that's going to problem solve anything for the curiosity rover, whether that's the wheel or the drill. But along the hackathon, we were not the best perhaps at design. We were always like asking, but what if somebody has a better solution or a better, initiative, and how do we solve this? So we were driven from that starting point of solving a problem to how to involve everyone collectively. So we built a platform where people can have type of like almost like a gamified experience of solving a problem, but also respond to urgency. Where in our platform, astronauts can give you mayday, or you have to like have a specific bandwidth of time to solve something, and then everybody in the world collaborates or sends a solution, and then that's approved from the Houston Center, and then the astronaut has it on hand and they can print it. So it was kind of like an interaction of what needs to be done urgently. So we've built a platform just because we didn't know if our solution is going to be the best and the brightest, and we also wanted to compete. So we made such a platform to have all of those AutoCAD drawings, or others just applied there. We wanted to kind of like help and connect with everyone that's maybe a better expert, or to learn from them. So that was the winning point of our solution, I feel like. But that was my experience. So I started in 2014. Um, cool team, cool teammates, and then I started becoming a young mentor, then a mentor. Then when I went to study at Kent State University through the Global UGRAD program, I've joined the Cleveland team, which was hosting at Cleveland, Ohio, at NASA Glenn. So I've joined that team as the head of partnership, as a judge, and then later as a local lead of the NASA Space Up Challenge Cleveland. And at that time, it was the only location that had a research center that was hosting this event. And I've done that for several years, and then on a conference, I've met the deputy director David Korshmeyer at NASA Ames Research Center, and since I was frequenting the Bay Area for a lot of opportunities and collaborations and amazing colleagues and initiatives, I asked them if we can, also bring this to the Bay Area. So I became the local lead that actually is hosting this hackathon from two NASA research centers, NASA Glenn and NASA Ames, and we're back in the Bay now. So that's like the short recap.
I guess, Martina, I wanted for us to share, like, what do you think are some great, for anyone participating in the challenges this weekend, what are, like, if they don't currently have a team, or if they are coming with the team, are there suggestions you have for how to best utilize everyone's strengths?
Yeah. So it's great to talk about this because a lot of participants always ask these questions, right? So it's good to address them. So if you don't have a team but you feel confident and competent, you can always apply on your own, or you can have up to 6 teammates. So what we usually do is when we arrive at NASA Ames, we do the introductions, and then we try to have some type of a session where we can actually meet people and form teams. So people click, they see what type of a skill set they're missing, or if they want to expand their team. We just try to team build or create teams while we're there at Ames. So we usually do a fun game or something to encourage them to chat and kind of like get to know one another and team build on the spot. We always offer communication beforehand if they are not if they don't want to build team right there and they want to discuss in the upfront. We have our channels on Slack, and we offer those team building capacities as we ask our participants in which way they're participating, if they have a team or not, or if they need help. So we offer that type of support beforehand, but also it's really fun to see them, bond at the hackathon and kind of like form teams like that.
Definitely a team sport. You want to get everyone involved.
Absolutely. And I think that's also why I was excited, because this is actually my first Space Apps Challenge event. So, and that's why I was really grateful, Matt, for your conversation you had with the Chicago team, or just previously the live that you had, and love the kind of dev radio platform you've been creating, because it's been helpful for me to kind of gain more information as I'm a growing developer and learning more about different tools that are available. So that's why I was wanting to share with anyone who's attending the challenge this weekend, or is coming for the first time, maybe sort of some first steps about how to approach getting started. And
Yeah.
so that's why I wanted to dive in here with. So as you can see, the 2025 challenges are listed here, and so far there's 18 different challenges to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course, like one thing that's I think really unique about this opportunity is that NASA has so much data that's available, and so for example, like we could use the Terrace, the satellite. So it's 25th anniversary, and being able to uh, kind of dive into that, and also
But yeah, if I can add, so usually what NASA's doing with this, it's the world's largest hackathon. It's happening of around over 400 locations globally, and NASA's collaborating with other space agencies to offer this opportunity worldwide. So that's good, just because you are competing with the whole wide world. Is the biggest hackathon at the same time, and what we have is really cool locations across the US that we're also friendly or collaborating with. We have around 5 to 6 locations just in California, and some of them are in person, some of them are virtual. We have hybrid locations. You can definitely go on the local event page in local events and find what's closest to you. We're still accepting. So if you want to come at NASA Ames, that's amazing. And if you want to come virtually, we also offer two. But if you offer that too, but if you want to participate into a location that's closer to you, let's say Chicago or NYC or others, we were quite friendly with them, and we help each other as local leads, and we try to provide as many resources and accessibility as possible. So definitely hit those up. But the agency actually, Baxter and Matt, they are trying to create they're trying to create incentive to solve the biggest pressing problem. So these challenges change every year. They're trying to bring us the most pressing challenges. And if you can see, and if you browse through the challenges today, we have several, and some of them are close to my field that I'm excited about. For example, animation celebration of Terra Data. That's the NASA's oldest daily Earth viewing satellite, Terra, that just turned 25 years old. And you can open these hackathons, and I mean challenges, sorry, and you can see the description. And the fun part is, when you register and you enroll on the day of the hackathon, for fairness, they unlock something for you. So they unlock some hidden information that needs to be implemented in the challenge, so you can solve it. But you can kind of like brainstorm and think about it beforehand. So if you want me to guide you through the challenges, I can. Let's say animation celebration is an instrument that's continuously operating, and it's taking more imagery at the same time, and it has piled a lot of data over the years. So this data can have the potential to shed light on everything from scientific processes to unique events, all while helping solve problems that affect humans. So your challenge is to use the data from any of the Terra's 5 instruments to create an animated product that's showcasing an earth science story and emphasizing the impact to you, your community, the environment, etc. This is from the Earth Science Division at NASA. Our role away is hunting for exoplanets with AI. This is so cool because AI has proven that it can detect some exoplanets that humans have actually missed. So it's a good combo of finding them. So we have data from several different space-based exoplanet surveying missions, and they have enabled discovery of thousands of new planets outside of our solar system. But most of these exoplanets were identified manually, which means by humans, by looking at the data. So, with advances in AI and machine learning, it's possible to automatically analyze large sets of data collected by these missions that identify these exoplanets. So, that's the challenge, actually, to create a model, an AI ML model that is trained on one or more of these open source exoplanet datasets. And you can even, perhaps, if your model is good, we don't strive for perfection, but if your model is good, maybe you can find an exoplanet right there and then. So, you're going to have that discovery. So we don't, for submissions, people often think that these have to be complex, solutions, complex ideas. For the 48 hours of participating and up to a team of 6, that's the maximum capacity, there's only so much you can solve, right? So we don't strive for perfection, we just want to have submitted solutions. So those are the cool things. And Baxter, please stop me if I go too much into detail of these, or if you want to jump in with ideas. I can go on and on because I love the challenges, because I personally revise or learn new things when I review them. But a third one is Bloomwatch. That's an Earth observation application for global flooring phenology. And it's a really cool one because you can witness the pulse of life across our planet. If you follow the news, there's speculation that there might have been life on Mars in the previous years. So from season to season and year to year, Earth's vegetation is constantly changing, and that's providing critical information for our planet's species, crops, seasonal effects, pollen sources, and changes in plant phenology, which is the relationship between seasonal changes and climate and biological phenomena in plants. So in this challenge, you have to harness the power of NASA Earth observation to create a dynamic visual tool that displays or detects plant blooming events around the globe, just like pollinators do. So you can advance the solutions for protecting and preserving Earth, of monitoring, predicting, or managing vegetation. And I am not a Microsoft Azure expert. I'm sure that Matt might be more knowledgeable about this. So if he can let me know how we can implement Azure in these first 3 challenges, if he has any ideas, please just jump right in the call.
Oh, off the top of my head, I'd want to sit back and think about it. I think, I mean, get some data into Azure and start to play with it is kind of the general approach.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go into depth into more of the challenges, Baxter, unless you want to hop and
well, you've been thinking about this, Baxter. What have you been playing with?
Yeah, so let me jump in. So I was looking at having a passion for the environment. I was looking at NASA's atmospheric emissions monitoring of pollution data, and so just wanted to share if you're participating. Here's kind of a general idea I started playing around with, but basically, being able to observe and predict cleaner air. And so one thing I did was, just was getting started. I was using Claude to help me sort of build building out an app to sort of monitor different cities and being able to kind of see, okay, in real, using the data, what the air quality index is.
Yeah, that's a great start. I mean, you want to spend a lot of time planning, spend more time planning than you think you should. You'll feel like, oh my gosh, I should be building. But this is like where I start all the time too, with asking AI, like, what are some ideas? Get me going fast.
Exactly. So just as a way to kind of get started. And then also what was helpful too is then being able to identify sort of an architecture for the app, and then seeing, okay, what other tools do I need? And, showing the Azure functions and
Azure functions are nice and inexpensive. Again, for hackathon, you don't want to be spending a ton of money on stuff. So
that's what, that's why I wanted to ask too, if you think thinking also, within the 40 hours that we have, okay, how much can we implement? I was just curious, setting up an Azure account, do you feel like, Matt, it's best for participants to use a student account, or to be able to get the most out of?
I think if you use one of the free trials, and the student account is great if you've got access, if you've got a .edu email address and are eligible for the student account. But even the regular Azure free trial, there's so much that you can do. It'd actually be hard to spend your entire allowance on the free trial in 2 days. Some of the more expensive services, again, it's free for the first 30 days. If you're totally within the window, just go for it. And but yeah, I think the free trial should give you access to enough Azure that you'd be able to build something real. So yeah,
that's super helpful, because I think that was one thing I wanted to, because as I was looking for next steps for, okay, so now I have this idea and looking to then decide, okay, adding all this data in, what's the like, yeah, how can I, also someone who's like on a budget be able to, make the best choice. So I think that was helpful to navigate. Okay, now that I have all this data that I'm adding in these APIs, what would be a good next step? So that was really helpful. Just curious to hear your thoughts, Matt, about what you think the good next step.
With the free trial, a lot of the services stay free even after that first 30-day period. And you at least at the level where you can play with them and build some stuff to check it out. So yeah, I think that I wouldn't spend too much time worrying about your Azure cost for a hackathon like this. It'd be hard to spend, more than the cost of a book, if at most. Yeah.
Because where do you see most of like the costs coming from, I guess, or like just are there things that people can look out for if they're using Azure while they're building?
I mean, if you spin up any of like the big data solutions, which again you don't have any listed right here, but I don't think you really need to worry about it. Like Synapse Analytics maybe might get expensive, but generally start with the least amount that you need. And I think what it's pointing you to here, all of these should be pretty reasonable, right? I'm not saying anything on here that I'd be like, oh, turn that off, your bill's going to be big in the morning.
Yes.
That used to be the case with like HD Insight and some of like our Apache Spark stuff in the cloud, but it's not so much a concern anymore. And that's the thing about the cloud is it's made all this stuff accessible because the cost is accessible.
Which is that's a great point, because I think as I was looking for different tools to use, it's like being someone new to Azure was thinking, okay, how can I best utilize all the tools available for me? So that was great to see comparative to other options.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just curious if you had any other suggestions for like someone new like myself, or like for teams participating, how they could best utilize Azure.
That's where do you start, right? You're going to have, Azure Maps is a really powerful tool. And if you're playing with like a lot of location data and a lot of, they're very visual, right? And so you'll probably have someone on your team who's just numbers, not too visual. That's the way I am. But then once you get it into like, Azure Maps, you start to get some really interesting visualizations. And I think Azure Maps is pretty powerful. That's something I would take a look at. There's a lot of connections into the different services. I think, also in general, there's so much open source technology that's available in Azure. Like if you're already familiar with the open source flavor of something, like in this case, Redis probably, right? A lot of people probably used to using Redis for, web development. Don't bother with Cosmos DB because you might have to learn kind of a new model for resource allocation. Go with what you know. Azure Data Lake Storage, you're probably not going to have that much data that you need that. And so, kind of go with, what everyone knows from an open source flavor, what it is and why to use it. I'd kind of start with those tools. But I would say, honestly, I assume you guys will have like some nice whiteboards and things set up at the hackathon. It's just pen and paper, ink and, whiteboard. That will get you going pretty far, but I don't know, Martina, do you have an example maybe? Are you muted? Did you mute yourself? Let me get that.
Sorry,
I couldn't get to your mute button fast enough either.
I usually stay on mute just because we have I'm next to the San Jose airport, so you cannot hear me whenever there's an airplane. But yeah, I was looking through the challenges, and Big in Your Eyes speaks to me right now, which is a really cool challenge. It's an intermediate in difficulty, and while your cell phone screen can display about 3 million pixels of information, your eye can actually receive more than 10 million pixels. So NASA images from space are really big, and NASA space missions continue to push the boundaries of what is technologically possible, proving that they capture so many beautiful things and in high resolution, from Earth to other planets to deep space. And space has billions of or even trillions of pixels. So in this challenge, the challenge is to create a platform that allows users to zoom in and out of these massive image data sets, and label known features and discover new patterns. It is in the astrophysics division. So Big in Your Eyes asks us to build a platform where users can do that zoom in and zoom out. And in general, space apps challenges tend to include big data sets like this, like satellite imagery, sensory data, visualization, like map zooming, layering, machine learning, and AI, which is pattern detection, classification, real-time or near-time data for solar events or weather or whatnot. They can ask data fusion for merging multiple sources, mobile to web interfaces, geospatial operations, maps, coordinate transformations, and whatnot. So these challenges often stress storage and efficient retrieving of large data like images, telemetry, and time series, or performance when many users are zooming, querying, or filtering at the same time. Scalability, if like many people use this tool, integration to ML or AI, and visualization tools such as maps and charts, etc. So how can Azure help when we're doing this type of like architecture of ideas and services? We do have a lot of Azure building blocks that we can leverage. For example, if we use the Azure Blob Storage, we can store big files or images and large data sets, which is useful for space apps because it's efficient, it's scalable storage for satellite images and large data sets. Azure Data Lake, we can store optimized analytics for analytical pipelines or huge data sets. So I feel like just laying it out there as an idea can help participants solve problems, right? The Azure Cosmos can be for structured databases to store metadata, indexing, etc. The Azure Machine Learning can platform training and deploying ML models for those patterns or classification or detection over images or sensor data. The maps, as you've mentioned, Matt, it's great for geospatial mapping and geocoding and map rendering. So for visualizing these map and zooming, that might be, a good insight. So when we do the Big in Your Eyes challenge, we can have a plethora of possible architecture for this specific Azure tweaking or implementing, right? We can have let's say, the backend APIs and services where we can build REST API that can run in Azure Functions that can give map extent or zoom levels to return the image tiles, annotations, and metadata. So we have a lot of ideas. You just have to kind of like go through the Space Apps challenge, wherever you prefer, see what they require, see the data sets when it unlocks, and then see which type of like Azure incorporation you want to incorporate. And the better skilled your team, that's amazing. I mean, we also provide a lot of mentors and judges and experts that are going to help. We have them via email, via calls. So it's just a matter of, I guess, like at least ideas. Again, solutions don't have to be perfect. They just need to be like somehow implemented to a certain degree in a presentation or in whatnot. So those are just like a few of my like initial ideas of how we can actually solve a problem. But let me know if you have any other.
That's pretty good. And actually, I'm gonna maybe kind of build on that a little bit, just going back to like Azure Maps, just for example. Like go to GitHub, find the code samples, and see like what's already out there that you could just kind of grab and use really quickly. Because as you were talking, about this one, I think, label known features is interesting. Having a crowd of people looking at the same image and annotating it and saying, what is this? This is interesting. Or that's, I mean, I'm kind of adding features to the things you described already.
No, go
But
on. This is a team. Imagine if we're the
yeah,
Space Ups team and now we're trying to solve this challenge in user
yeah.
group.
And
So
so like
that's
there
what we're
has to be
all
like
about.
some quick Azure Map sample that I can grab, for someone that wants
Hmm.
to, you know, have custom user generated labels added to their map. And, or,
Hmm.
but again, it's build on the work of others. Um, so don't try to build everything from scratch. Go out there and do a quick search and see what you can find on GitHub or elsewhere where someone has done something similar and paste it in.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and of course, I'm a huge fan of GitHub Copilot and tools like that, where you can point it at, some information and tell it to kind of get going and come up with a structure for you too. But um, yeah, well, now I'm just kind of brainstorming, but it's
Hmm. No, I mean it's
yeah,
useful information, and every challenge I feel like it can be tweaked like this. We have a lot of partners that offer us these incredible resources that the participants can use just to
yeah,
strengthen their solution. And then this is just the local
yeah.
victories. We also have global victories. So I think the more you try to problem solve and implement, you might be even, really fit for global and develop a really cool solution that actually solves a
Yeah.
real problem.
Baxter, did you have more for us today, or what else have you built? What have you? Do you have like bunch of stuff ready to just put in the oven and go on Saturday, or
That was kind of just sort of some initial
yeah,
diving in, but yeah, I'm excited because
that was
I'll be
great
kind of
stuff. Yeah,
I'll be documenting sort of what's happening with the other team, so that's I'm excited to see
yeah,
what everyone else is going to be bringing in their ideas. But I think that's like you said, it's a really good point about like you know ideation and planning is such an important step. So like taking time to do that, and then because I feel like utilizing all the tools we have, we can you know
yeah.
go quickly.
And take all the time you have to make a decision. To make that decision, don't make a better decision that way. But and then and
Mm-hmm.
divide stuff up between the team members. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then help each other too. Don't just like don't just wander away and let someone bang their head against a problem without being there as a teammate.
That's true, and it's important to do these kind of like walkthroughs for participants and just give them
Yeah,
ideas, especially during the
yeah,
beginning. And then one other thing that I'm kind of like passionate about is simplifying hard language and making it accessible for everyone, but also the day-to-day implementations of space. So, for example, there's also a challenge which is called "Will it rain on my parade?" It's about weather
yeah.
prediction. So if you're planning like an outdoor event, like a vacation, hike or trail, or even go fishing, it's good to know the chances of adverse weather for the time and
Yeah.
location you're considering because of safety and whatever. So these are mainly types of Earth observation data that can provide information of weather conditions for a particular location and the day of the year. So the challenge here, for example, is to construct an app with a personalized interface that enables users to conduct a customized query to tell them the likelihood of very hot, very cold, very windy, very wet, very uncomfortable conditions, of the locations and time that's specified. This is also a challenge from the Earth Science Division. So obviously, what do we need to do here? We have to ingest weather data. That's a historical forecasting. We have to do model probabilities and return predictions. We have to build an interface where users can query by date, location, condition, and we can possibly even visualize this data, which always helps, like maps and charts, right? So, how can, let's say, Azure help in this day-to-day kind of like daily
Yeah.
usage of something that we can use prediction wise? Obviously, again, data ingestion and storage, we can open weather apis and like the ones from NOAA or NASA datasets to fetch the historical and forecast data, especially temperature, humidity, etc. We can use the Azure Data Factory to schedule periodic ingestion pipelines like daily, hourly, and pull the data and transform it
Mhm.
and store it, right? We can use modeling prediction again, Azure Machine Learning, to train the models for classification, regression that predict that probability of rain, the extreme heat given input features like location, date, say seasonal variables, forecast data, etc. So we can, again, go to the challenge, see the challenge objective, see what we're trying to solve, and then see how, based on our skill set or ability to learn or explore, put something there and ask our teammates for help for mentoring and judging and everybody who's there. So those are like the two scenarios of something really for the deep space, or like, just space, or here another challenge for Earth. So that's how we can, like, that's how I would at least go to solving a problem.
I think well, now you've also got me thinking about like multi-agent solutions, and which if you've got 3 people on your team each writing a different agent, and one person doing the orchestrator, you can probably get a lot done there too. But that's this weekend might not be the best time to figure out multi-agent solutions if you haven't built one yet. But
that's true. We do have quite a big spool of talent. So we have intermediate, but we also have some experts coming in to participate. So it's, again, great to connect and learn. And obviously, I've seen throughout the years a lot of newcomers that are just now wrapping up college, come in this hackathon and network and learn. And even if they don't have a team, join a more experienced team, so they can kind of like see how you solve a real problem, even a complex problem, with complex tools that are not easy to, go through and navigate in a weekend. So that's quite impressive.
Yeah, the best part of hackathon is meeting smart people.
Exactly.
Well, any last words before we wrap up?
I guess one thing too, Matt, I was just curious if you could share, like, for participants at the hackathon, like, once they had this experience, I know there were some Microsoft challenges too, so I wasn't sure if you could share sort of like, like, if someone wants to continue their learning or get other certifications for different things. Just wanted to provide those resources to the audience from that we'll be serving with the Space Apps Challenge.
Yeah, let me pull up something real quick here. I wasn't ready for that question.
Sorry. No, yeah, I apologize.
Martina, fill air while I find the URL I want to share.
But yeah, we're quite excited about offering Azure as an opportunity for our participants, and we know that we're having a lot of cool initiatives in Microsoft upcoming. So stay tuned, and we'll sure send our participants more information about the next steps of how they can join the learning curves that Microsoft offers, because I know that Matt's on top of that, and he'll pull it up any second.
I think it's good too, because
no pressure.
It's also a great way to, I think, participating in the Space App Challenge is, and also like with what Microsoft has available, is like just to showcase our professional development and, of course, being able to network, but I think also showing to keep up on new applications, and just I think the credit certification and accreditation is really great to showcase, as a developer and someone in this field, what we're experts in.
It also kicked off my career. Like, I'm now a space expert because of challenges and hackathons. So that's like a full circle moment for me. I'll always have a part of my heart devoted to hacking.
So to kind of keep the learning going, this is one of the leaderboards we set up for you for the NASA Space Apps folks, and this actually maps to a credential you can get from Microsoft: Azure OpenAI and Semantic Kernel Learning Pad. Let me do. So you're still seeing my screen, right? Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I'll put another link into chat for a moment. So this is basically a certification you can get from Microsoft. If you learn how to do these, develop a generative AI app with Azure OpenAI. Takes about 2 hours to complete the assessment. Actually, it probably takes about 30 minutes once you know how to do it. You come here, you register for this. And you can sort of see there's 29 other folks that have started going through this from NASA. And then this will show you step by step what you need to do this. And so I would, definitely take a look at some of the, Microsoft Applied Skills credentials and some of the certifications and things. But this is, if you've been getting mails from NASA Space Apps Mountain View, they may have pointed you to this one, or they may have shared some of these with you. And I think we've got one also for using GitHub Copilot. That's a pretty good one. So that's kind of my quick answer, Baxter. Always keep learning. Azure's just going to keep getting more complicated and interesting. So, yeah. Also, today is the. Do you want to? So, last day to register, Martina? Yeah.
So today is the last day to register for in-person attendance at NASA Ames for the NASA Space Apps Challenge in Mountain View, just because we have quite a lot of security to go through and we have to deliver a final list, but we also have virtual participation possible. If you want to combine these both worlds of Space Apps and NASA data and Microsoft and Azure, please join us. We are going to have really cool teams on board. It's going to be a cool hackathon, a lot of incredible partners, such as Microsoft. And you have only a few days left to register, both in person or virtually. And in these hackathons, you can register anywhere. You don't have to be local to be there, especially if they have a virtual component. So you can be from anywhere in the world. And if the time zone is convenient for you, just join us.
Awesome. Well, I hope that everyone has a great time hacking this weekend, and I'm sure you're going to see some cool stuff.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Can't wait.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you.